Hugs and high fives, everyone. It's Pump, and I hope that you have been enjoying your summer vacations. We've been spending a lot of time outside this summer, which actually is what prompted me to make this video today. An incident that occurred last night at a local park, and it stuck with me all night, and I thought about it into this morning, and I said, you know what, I haven't done a video in a while, so let me address this on video, so here I am. So last night after dinner, Sneak, Tap, and I finished up, and I sent a text to my friend C. C is actually the one-to-one aide who worked in the classroom with Sneak during 3rd and 4th grade in school. So she's now a friend of the family. I mean, she and I always get together with our kids. We vacation together. Her kids are amazing. Because of who their mom is, they are very good with kids with special needs, especially Sneak. It's great that Tap gets to interact with kids as well, and she has her own peers. So just an amazing family. We just love this family. So I sent a text message and said, hey, let's go to the park because, you know, we didn't want to be in the house. So she says, cool, we'll meet you there. So we go to the park, and this is a local park that we frequent. I mean, we've been going maybe every other week for the entire summer. We love this park. There's so much to do. The kids love it. And it kind of gives C and I a chance to catch up while they're playing with each other. So we get to the park, and I had a beach ball that I bought that Sneak loves to play with. It's one of those big, like a classic beach ball that you can use for like volley, well, in the water, not so much volleyball, but whatever. So we get to this park, and we're playing with this volley beach ball. So this little boy out of nowhere, like, comes up, and Tap has the ball in her hand, and he takes that ball out of her hand, and he says, give me that ball. And he walks away. So we kind of look at each other like, what? And C's son, who is very protective of not only his own sisters, but my girls as well, he goes to get the ball back. So he walks up to this boy, and he says, give me the ball back. And the boy throws the ball to him, and he comes back over to where we are. So now I'm monitoring this situation very closely because, again, C and I are already right here paying attention, but this just kind of seems a little odd. So this boy comes like charging back over to get this ball, and he's like, give me the ball back. And I believe C said, oh, that's not how we talk to friends, or she said something like, you know, chill out or whatever. And but still correcting him, like, you know, that's not how we talk when we want something. And so he got on the seesaw. So the kids are looking at us, we're kind of looking at each other like, okay. I immediately go into mama mode, and I'm like, this behavior is not appropriate, and now I'm just looking for a parent of this child because I'm uncomfortable at this point. And so he gets on the seesaw. So he gets on one side of the seesaw, and C's daughter was on the other side. So they start going back and forth, and within like the 3rd or 4th run, he's like, put me down, put me down, put me down, get off, put me down, put me down. And she stopped. And as soon as she stopped, now when you're an autism parent, you know what I'm talking about. When you can pick up autism in other kids, for a split second he stemmed. And when that seesaw stopped, he looked up and he did like this, and he jumped off the seesaw. I looked at C, we made that eye contact, and both of us at the same time mouthed, he's got something going on. Like, it was like, okay, that's what's going on. We're going to change our approach to this situation. Now, again, I'm still in mama mode, so my initial instinct is, where is his parents? Because we're the only adults on the playground aside from another family who's across the way, which I'll get to that in a second. So C becomes friendly with him because that's just what she does, because she's amazing. And she says, hey, what's your name? Where's your father? Or where's your mommy or whatever? And he had limited speech. He did a lot of scripting, but he said, basketball court. Now, the basketball courts were not close to where we were. It was actually across the field to where we were. So again, I'm kind of looking, I can't even make out faces on the basketball court, let alone I'm trying to figure out how a parent can see his child while he's on the basketball court over on the playground. Okay. So she's talking to him, what school do you go to? And he knows his school, he's knows what grade he's in, he knows his first and last name, but nonetheless, he's on the spectrum. So much so that, I wouldn't have left him alone if that were my child. I just would not have left him alone. So we ends up asking him, like, oh, so you came with someone there in the basketball court? And he says, yes, basketball court, daddy, basketball court. Okay, so he ended up leaving our area where we were and going over to the other side where there was another family. It was a mom, dad, and two daughters. Okay, so at that point I didn't pay much more attention to him. I was still kind of like looking over off to the basketball court, like where's this parent? Now it's been 15 minutes and I don't see anyone running out going, oh my God, my son got away. Like I would have done. So now I'm becoming more and more concerned, and I said, I told myself that I was going to go and find this boy's parent, just off of that alone, right? So I am talking to C, and then all of a sudden I hear the dad across the way saying, so why didn't you hit him? Why didn't you punch him? You should have punched him. Well, let him come back over here. I'm going to punch him. And he's like yelling at his wife and his daughter. The daughter is probably about 12 years old or so. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I don't know what happened, but I need to do something. So I told C, I will be right back. I'm going to go find this boy's father or parents or whatever. And I walked all the way around to the basketball court. I arrived to the basketball court and I am greeted by a bunch of guys playing multiple games of basketball. So I see one gentleman sitting on the bench and I say, excuse me, sir, do you have a little boy over here at the playground? And he's like, no, I don't have a boy at the playground. Now, when I said that to him, everyone kind of took notice. Like, number one, why is this woman over here? Not that women don't play basketball, but I mean, I had on a sundress and sandals. Like, I'm not trying to get a game of horse going. So I drew the attention, like, why is she over here? And I made eye contact after he said he didn't have a son. I made eye contact with the other gentleman there, and I said, does anyone here have a little boy over here at the playground? So all of a sudden, a gentleman in the back comes toward me and says, why did he bite someone? Let's pause for 1 second. So you have your son here, or I don't know if that was his brother, his dad, I'm not sure. But the fact that you know that your child has behaviors and you let them out of your sight for, at this point, 25 minutes, that's a problem for me. So I said, can you come here for a minute? So he comes over to me, and I said, is your son on the spectrum? And he goes, oh, yeah, he's on the spectrum. Why? Did he bite someone? Did he run into the street? Did he do something wrong? So again, he's naming these behaviors that he knows that his son exhibits. So I'm just flabbergasted, and I said, sir, I think you need to come and get your son because he's been over there with us. I don't feel comfortable because I just heard another father say something about hitting him, and I don't want to see that happen. And he goes, oh, man, come on, man. Hey, and he calls the boy over, so the boy runs over to him. He had been drinking a juice box. I didn't know if he got it off the ground. Like, it was just a lot going on. Now, let me just go back for one moment. When we talk to our children about kids with special needs, number one, they know Sneak. They've been around her, so they understand her. But number two, we always explain to them, don't be so quick to judge. When you see a child, or even an adult for that matter, who is acting in a way that you may not deem as normal or whatever, that first instinct should not be, oh, they're bad, oh, they're evil, or they're doing something wrong. You got to kind of step back and say, is there something going on with them? So I must say our children can pick that up. I understand that not all children can pick that up. But as soon as C and I made that eye contact and said, he's got something going on, we kind of quickly whispered it to the kids. And so then they were offering, oh, do you want to play with the silly putty? Oh, do you want to play with the ball? So it was a different situation at that point. And again, I know that not everyone is like that or can pick up on that. But the fact that this father figure or this adult brought this child here and knew of his behaviors and just let him go and play, I had a huge problem with that. So the boy went and ran to his adult, and they went back to the basketball court, and I walked all the way back around to the playground where we were. Now, at this point, the father of this other family and the girl he's hyping the girl up like, if he comes back, you need to punch him. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna punch him in his face. So they're having this conversation, and Sneak is over there playing near them. So my first instinct is, let me go be with my child, because if Sneak accidentally runs in front of this girl or pushes her down because she doesn't understand boundaries when it comes to being on the playground, she's kind of like, oh, I want to do that, I'm going to do it. So I have to hover over her or have one of the kids kind of, escort her around the playground. So as soon as I saw this attitude from this father and from this little girl, I immediately went over there to where Sneak was and just kind of sat and watched to see, you know, what she was doing. And I could overhear this father scolding this daughter and telling her, you know, he better not come back, and if he does, you better lay him out, and you better do this, that, and the other. So at that point, I was getting very annoyed, and I said, you know what? I think it's time to go. As I was turning to leave, the mother comes up to me and she says, excuse me, did you know that little boy over there? And I said, no, I didn't know him. And she says, well, I didn't know what was going on with him. And I said, well, he has special needs. And she says, oh. And I said, I have a daughter with special needs. She's right there. And that's why I knew. And she goes, yeah, because he came over and he was playing with my daughter's hair and he touched her leg. So the daughter comes over, and now the daughter has on ripped jeans. So like half her thigh is out, half her calf is out, like her jeans are ripped up. So the daughter comes over and she's like, yeah, and he touched my leg. And when I told him to stop, he kept touching my leg and feeling my leg, and I was about to knock him out. So the mom says to the daughter, well, oh, he has special needs. And the little girl said, well, he should have told me. So I paused right there, and I didn't address the little girl because that's not my place. I'm not about to go back and forth with a little girl. So I said to the mom, you know, people with special needs, they can't say, hey, I have special needs, so I have kind of some quirky things that go on with me. They can't say that. But they act off of impulse. So if he played with your daughter's hair, he wasn't trying to harm her, hurt her, or what have you. He may have wanted to smell it, or he may have seen it, and just, it's a sensory thing. So I'm trying to do my, like, you know, educate others and spread awareness in this small time frame. And then I have this girl standing right here, and she's like, I don't care what you're saying. He was wrong, and my daddy's going to beat him up, and I'm going to beat him up. And the mom kept saying to her, no, we don't, no, you can't do that. And she says, well, I'm crazy too, so I can do what I want and let him come back over here. So finally I said, sweetheart, when you see people who do things like that, try not to immediately, you know, get upset. And the mom is kind of like letting me school the daughter. I told her, you know, try not to get so upset. Like, instead, step back and say, hey, maybe there's something going on, because 9 times out of 10, if someone is acting in a way that you don't seem as appropriate behavior for their age or what have you, then they could have a special need, or they could have had some type of delay there. But the little girl did not want to hear what I had to say, and she just kept letting me know that she was going to hurt him and her daddy was going to hurt him if he came back. So at that point I said, all right, guys, let's get out of here, because I did my part. C did her part. My kids did our part. At this point, we left. So we ended up walking to the car, and even as we were walking, I heard the mother tell her husband, oh, he has special needs, and the husband says, I don't care what he had. What he's about to have is my fist up his blah, blah, blah. All right, so we left and went to get some Ritas, some ice cream, and then we went home. So now comes the reason why I'm sharing this video, because there are some key takeaways that I want to share with multiple audiences. So the first takeaway is for parents like me, parents like you who have kids with special needs, who can recognize, you know how we are. We see a child with special needs enter the room, immediately we're like, oh, something's going on, and we are on high alert. This message is for you parents, okay? Stay vigilant, stay observant, teach your children about others being different, and that not everyone is the same, and not everyone communicates the same, and teach them empathy and compassion, because they don't know that, and they need someone to teach that to them sometimes. Since we are special needs parents, that is our job. I take any opportunity that I can to educate others who don't know. I do special needs sensitivity trainings starting at the preschool level to tell kids, hey, guess what? Not everyone's going to be like you, so it's important that you embrace that, and this is how you can play with your friends who are different, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this is what I do, because I know that there's a lot of ignorance out there. So as a special needs parent, my takeaway is the fact that I was vigilant. I diffused a situation that I saw turning into something very bad, possibly, on multiple fronts. And I feel I slept good last night knowing that I did that job. So that's your takeaway, special needs parents. Second takeaway from this, and you may not want to hear this, but I'm sorry, I got to say it. This is for parents of children who have special needs. keep your children within your sight at all times. C and I were talking through this entire experience, and we just kept saying, the Beltway is right there. The parking lot is right there. The pond is right there. This boy could have been hit by a car, abducted, or drowned. And you know what would have happened? That parent would have been in the news saying, he was just right there. I just laid eyes on him. I don't know what happened. And we hear it all the time. Listen, our kids, even if they don't have special needs, they are able to escape and get away in a quick, and you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So that's bad enough. But when you have a child who cannot defend themselves, keep an eye and a hand. Have somebody to help you. I know it's hard. Trust me, I'm not trying to judge, but that last night just showed me that we got to do better. So if you are a parent of a child with a special need, please keep them in your sight at all times. You're the only one who knows your child. And my third and final takeaway is for the families who don't have children with special needs in them. Talk to your children, talk to your spouses, talk to anyone who will listen to you, and let them know that not everyone is the same. You may be at the playground and you may come across a child that doesn't know personal space or boundaries, or doesn't know how to play appropriately, or doesn't know how to ask nicely. It's not that they're being rude. It's not that they have poor home training. It's not necessarily that they're a bad child. It's you have to have that compassion, and that's when you kind of take a step back and say, okay, let me see what's going on here. And you take those cues, you watch the parents, and you watch the siblings and how they interact. And you can learn a lot just by doing that. Before you jump to judge, it's really important. Again, talk to your children. This is what I teach in my training sessions. Talk to your children and let them know there are other ways to interact with people who have special needs. If you ever see someone who's out and they, kids like to ask questions, and I've seen parents kind of like, don't stare, don't do that. Talk to your children. If they're asking, why is he in a wheelchair? You may not know why the child is in a wheelchair, but you can say, you know what, sometimes people have issues with their limbs, their legs, they can't walk or whatever. Say something, but just shooing your child off, all that's going to do is make them afraid of what they don't know. Trust me, I do these training sessions all the time. I see these children. They are terrified of what they don't know. So please talk to your children. Please talk to your family members and teach that empathy and that compassion for others. Because I'm sorry, I was disgusted by that girl and her dad last night. And more so than a parent, because he was supposed to lead the example for his daughter. But you've got this pretty little girl sitting here talking about hitting somebody in their face, and I can't wait for him to come back, and the dad's hyping her up, and I'm just like, are you serious right now? That could be my daughter. Like, had she stepped on her foot or something, then they would have been beating my child up, and then I would be in jail because, hello. So last night's situation it moved me to share this with you all. So I hope that as a viewer, you got something from it. Last night was scary. I'm glad it didn't end with some tragic moment with this poor little boy getting away from his caretaker. I hope that his caretaker learned a lesson. Like, wow, I thought I could kind of trust him going off on his own, but I see that I can't. So let me make sure that next time either I don't bring him to the playground with me, or if I do, I actually pay attention to him. And for that family that was so ready to react violently last night, God, that wasn't necessary. And I'm just glad that I was there to intervene, and that C was there to intervene, and that we were the family that this cute little boy came up to, and we were able to help him manage at the playground for 25 minutes. So anyway, that's all I got. I hope you're enjoying your summer. Thanks for watching this. I don't know how long this video is, but I'm a little long-winded. So yeah, please share this video, share it with others, have a conversation, check yourselves, and love your babies. Take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of your summer.